Welcome to my office.
I love your office.
You
This
don't.
place.
What are we going to talk about today, Wayne?
Well,
I haven't told you yet, have
You
I?
haven't told me. As far as I know, this is some sort of a show and tell episode.
Yeah, we're
where we
doing
talk
show
about
and
some new
tell.
things.
Yeah. It's
I brought today to show and tell a few of the new AK Interactive weathering pencils that they just came out with recently and we got here in stock. They're very similar to coloring pencils, except I think they might be oil based or some sort of like almost like a grease pencil in their texture. I've only had a short period of time to play with them. So far I've been impressed. Some of the colors I think are, I'm gonna go ahead and say, useless for what we do, but some of the colors are amazing. So far I like the results. You can get better, more realistic results with traditional methods of pigments and washes and oil washes and enamel washes, but for doing some quick stuff, this is awesome. So like the three colors that I've messed with the most have been this the streaking dirt, the medium rust, and the smoke. I like the streaking dirt for doing like little minor effects, and what you can do is it's really cool because you just kind of lightly go on the model, like there's been like some water runoff or something off of these points, just some minor weathering there. And you can do the same thing like along your tread point, your edging. You can use like the side of your pencil here to kind of just do just like a little bit of a suggestion that there's like some dirt along here, and you can kind of smudge it out with your finger a little bit, and then it gives you just like the hint of like, you know, oh, this tank's not pristine. It's not just been through the car wash. The rust is kind of a little bit stark, especially on those light Space Wolves gray. I want to say like this rivet's kind of rusted here, and then I can just kind of like make it like a little rust streak coming off of it, so it gives it like a kind of a hint of that color. And obviously, like if you want it to be more pronounced, you just press harder and go harder in it. So like if you want to do what we call exaggerated weathering, you can like do some like exaggerations with like some really stark colors, which looks really cool from like way far out. You can understand what's going on, but me personally, I like mine effects a little more subtle, and like you can do the same thing with this smoke. Just get some hints of color kind of going around like where these smokestack grates are up here, and then you just kind of rub it, and it gives you that smoky, like the paint's been discolored from exhaust fumes around it. And obviously the colors can be used for anything. Like you could use your smoke color for streaking effects on here as well. So they are multi-use as far as that goes.
Oh, that's so much cleaner than like trying to get another brush dirty or like mix a color with paint, and to be able to go in that fast and just do.
And if you need a sharper point, like they come with this kind of blunt edge on it, so you can just stick them in your pencil sharpener and sharpen them up if you actually want like a sharper edge. I prefer the blunt tip, that way I can like do wider approaches, or I can use the sides a little bit, the side of that if I want a fine line, just like to kind of just go down if I want to. So like they're definitely useful. They have their limitations, of course. Like everything, it's no perfect fix. There's not a one size fits all for any of this, but I think as far as like having another tool in your toolbox per se, I think these things could definitely be useful. And like I said, you're not cleaning a brush. You just stick these in a pencil holder next to your paints, and I want to add a little rust effect to this guy. I want to add a little smoke effect to this guy, and there we go. So what'd you bring today, Allison?
I brought the Dark Crystal board game, minus the board.
Minus the board.
Minus the board. There's no board. I bought this for Bart for his birthday, and he mounted the board behind all of his other Dark Crystal collection stuff.
I'm assuming he liked the quality of the board, that if he framed it up to where you can't ever use it to actually play this game with.
It looks like fun. I really would have liked to play it. I wanted to actually ask you about painting these. I recently acquired an airbrush, and then I acquired a second airbrush, so I now own two airbrush kits that I barely know how to use.
The biggest problem with a lot of these that are this resin plastic composite like this is the detail on them tends to be very shallow. The cheaper spray paints, as I found out as a young hobbyist, I was like, I'll save money and use this Krylon. My dad said it was good enough. No.
Me.
Yeah, it is not good enough. Your model will never chip with it on there, but you will lose all this detail. For better or for ill, the GW spray paint is the most expensive on the market. It is ridiculously priced. It is, however, very good. It mists out very thin. If you got to use a rattle can, I recommend Games Workshop spray paint. They're Chaos Black and they're white.
And I know
primer.
you do that begrudgingly because you almost never recommend Games Workshop.
They've turned the company around quite a bit in the last few years, and I was always an airbrush purist for years. I want an airbrush primer.
Which airbrush gold, like bronzy gold, would you recommend?
I am a big fan. I'm a fanboy, shall I say, when it comes to the Japanese paints. I love the GSI Krios lacquers. They have some of the finest pigments, and they lay down super smooth. That being said, you need a respirator to use. The lacquers, you don't have to worry about sealing between. If you're putting something over the lacquer, if you can put an acrylic over top of an enamel or a lacquer, but you cannot put an enamel over top of an acrylic.
What did you bring for show and tell today, Adam?
Look me in the eyes. Witcher 3 is the greatest game ever made. You don't get to disagree with me. It just is.
I'm absolutely sold.
So I have Dandelion. I want to give you Dandelion.
He's great. Oh my gosh.
I have other things also, yes. I've come bearing many things. This is the Witcher role-playing game. We're getting ready to start a game of this and I'm excited because, like I said, it's the best game ever made.
I feel like most of the roleplay games I've encountered are either more combat or more story. Where does this one fall on the...
It's a good blend. Yeah. It's a good blend of things. Because obviously, at the core of the game, like Witcher, the main character is a monster hunter, so you're going to do a lot of monster hunting. But, I mean, again, I said, there's a bunch of classes that you can choose from if you don't want to be a Witcher. So there's plenty of opportunities for role-playing also.
Any game where I can be a bard, I'm going to be a bard.
Yeah, you can be a bard, you can be a merchant.
Could you be a merchant bard trying to sell guitars to monsters?
Fun fact, a lot of this art is the same art you'll see in the game or in the Gwent card game spin-off.
The art, I was just looking at, the art is really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
I assume if that does well, they're going to start putting out expansion books and side things and all of that.
I hope so. I don't know if I mentioned this yet. The Witcher 3 is the greatest game ever made. We've also got shot glasses if you like to drink alcohol.
I love to drink alcohol.
I don't, but...
I mean, I guess you could drink anything out of the shot
glasses.
Glasses.
You could put mayonnaise?
You could... Thanks for sharing, Adam.
You're welcome. Go buy Witcher stuff because it's the best stuff.
Hell yeah.